Hello there everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Unlimited video. I am fresh off casting the UKTC 1K. That was yesterday. I was unfortunately unable to play in the one today, but I will be hopefully doing a video this week talking about the results of those and maybe just a general meta wrap up as we head into PQ season. That's this month, literally not this coming week but next week. So I'm going to be doing a lot of testing over the next couple of weeks to refine the list. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to be on. I'm really happy with the list. I think it's got some spice in it that people aren't expecting, and I think it's going to be a really good time. So do subscribe to that. Check out my Patreon, which is going to be linked in the description, for a in-depth meta breakdown that's going to be going up very soon after you're seeing this. That will go up on the actual channel probably a little later, probably right before PQ start. So you'll get a head start there if you are a patron, and I really do appreciate your support. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So we've got a bunch of new cards to talk about this week. Not as many as the last few videos, thankfully, so this should be a relatively speedy one. Okay, so we start with Sword and Shield Maneuver. So this is a 2-cost heroic event. Give each friendly trooper unit raid 1 for the phase, and give each friendly Jedi unit Sentinel for the phase. So this is a really interesting card. I think basically if we get a Jedi leader that interacts with clone trooper tokens in some way, then I think this is going to be good in that deck. Alternatively, I think this could be quite decent in draft. I think there's some pretty solid Jedi that you're going to be throwing into various different decks. Outside of that, I don't know. Paying 2 to just give everything raid 1 is, if you have a really wide board, quite good. But like, I think it's just one of the things where we're just going to have to see what games look like, because right now usually a board state is not going to be more than a couple things on it, right? Like, we don't have these board states with like 40 different tokens on them, which obviously if you had something like this in that situation, that's crazy, right? So we'll need to see. My inclination is this probably isn't amazing, though. It's probably just fine. All right, Mr. Bones, our next double red card for this set. This is a rare. It is a 1-drop double red 3/1 on attack. If you have no cards in your hand, you may deal 3 damage to a ground unit. So this is now giving Kylo another 3/1 that you can play if you're playing this very low to the ground sort of style deck. But obviously just a generic double red tool. 3 of, I think, like this, we can treat this text as blank. If you're playing double red in general, you're going to play this at 3 copies, and if you're in Kylo, you're going to go, oh, this is crazy. This is like representing 6 damage into something potentially, for 1, but also is giving me control. Like, that's nuts. If you can empty out your hand on like turn 2, right, as Kylo, and then suddenly you have this 3/1 that's just sitting here going, okay, I'm threatening you now. That's really cool. Yeah, staple card in those kinds of aggressive decks. Right, next we've got Geonosis Patrol Fighters. This is a 5-drop 3/2 with Exploit 2. So you can play this for 3 or you can play it for 1, as well as playing it for 5. And when played, you may return a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less to its owner's hand. I think this is insane. I think if you exploit this for 1, you're happy. A 3-cost 3/2 that says bounce is nuts, right? Like, this is absolutely nuts. Don't sleep on the fact that you can use this on your own units. Don't also sleep on the fact that like this can't bounce itself, right? So like, in that way, it's resilient. If we start getting more of these sorts of effects, it is like overcosted. And if you've got like, if we are able to make battle droid tokens pretty easily that you can just sack off to get something like this, that's really good. And also, this is a unit that you're probably going to feel fine with exploiting because, well, you've got the value when it's come into play. So overall, like, I'm very high on this card. I think it's very strong, and probably is going to see a lot of generic yellow play. All right. Okay, we've got Captain Rex. So this is a leader I think a lot of people have been waiting for. Green and white. So his action is pay to unrest him. If a friendly unit attack this phase, creates a clone trooper token. He deploys on 5, is a 2/6 that says when deployed, create a clone trooper token, and each other friendly trooper unit gains +0/+1. So in terms of stat value, Rex gives you more stats than Boba does on a 5 deploy. You get 4 attack and 9 health points, okay? So, let's talk about that for a second. If we are purely looking at this from a value perspective, this is the best leader in the game for value at 5, right? We're getting ridiculous value there. Now, obviously, the thing that makes Boba insane is its really good stats, combined with the fact that you're getting an 8 resource flip turn, and you're getting an extra resource, like, in various different combinations. So, like, I'm not saying this is the next Boba. But what I am saying is, we need to sit down and actually, for a second here, go, right, hold on a minute. That is extremely significant in terms of a pure value perspective. If you have an established board of token units, this is representing even more stat value than that, right? Like, you can imagine a scenario where you've just managed to stick like 1 or 2 other units, and this is representing a 411 potentially in terms of stat value, right? Now, on top of that, this turns on coordinate on his own. That's not something to sneeze at, right? Like, that's something pretty significant. I think the main thing my mind kind of went to is, oh, well, we play this in yellow and we get Plo Koon, so we deploy Rex and then we get a 6/6 ambush unit that we can just slam down, which is going to really, really help stabilize, like clean up the board. Alternatively, you can, obviously, like if you play this in a sort of red deck, like you're not going to have ECL, but you do get access to like some of those really, really powerful generic tools like Poe. I do think, like, I really wish Rex was red. I really, really wish Rex was red, so we could just play that generic Sabine ECL shell and just start slamming all the really, really broken tools into this more mid-rangey looking deck. Well, relative to Sabine, more mid-range looking. I don't know it's necessarily that mid-rangey. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think I'm very, very, very high on this card. I think, like, this is everything I would want in a leader that's going to be built around sort of coordinate. It comes out early, it turns on coordinate, and it can potentially represent a huge amount of buffed stats. Oh, also, with the Rex unit now becomes a 6 cost 4/5 that pumps out 2 2/3s, right? So that 6 cost then represents 8 cost, 8 attack and 11 health, which is insane, right? Like, when we start talking about stuff like that, the longer Rex hangs around, the more powerful it gets. I'd really like to see some Rex's armor, like to sort of go along with that Boba's armor, that we can just basically keep this guy around because that buff is super strong. Yeah, this card is very good in my opinion. This front side is like fine. It seems like the kind of thing you're going to use more in the late game, more than the early game. And you're just going to use it to sort of top up your board as and when you need to. But really, we're using this for that flip side because it seems really good. Right, Envy's Nest gets another unit for some reason. So this is a 7-drop hero and yellow. 5/7 Underworld. So stat-wise, okay, we are taking a pretty hefty hit to stats here, but what are we getting? Saboteur, and then when played and on attack, you may return an enemy non-leader unit with less power than this unit to its owner's hand. So this represents absolutely crazy board control, and especially if you put a blaster on this, I think this bounces basically everything in the game, right? Like, functionally everything in the game is just getting bounced. So there is a potential here that into decks that are basically not blue villain, this locks your opponent out of the game, right? Like, every single turn you go, cool, swing, bounce whatever you just played. Cool, swing, bounce whatever you just played, right? If they are unable to just answer a 7/7, which is actually going to be a little bit tough, right? Now, how often is that going to happen? Well, I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't think it's crazy to play this in a green-yellow deck and then, like, you're going to have a lot of, like, really, really solid stuff there. You can play ECL if you play it with a yellow leader, so you can sort of stabilize in the early game. You play this absolute bomb, or you timely intervention out this bomb, and suddenly, like, this card looks really, really scary. Obviously, Han yellow is just going to be like, yeah, I'll happily, like, play this out super early. And again, it's a when played, right? So we are getting immediate value. We're going, okay, I play my 7-drop, I bounce pretty much anything you've just played, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that this is going to be hitting. Anything with 4 attack or lower, and then once we suit this up with any equip, it's going to be absolutely crazy. So, I don't know, I'm pretty high on this card. I don't know how good it's going to be in practice. I do think the power level potential is there, thanks to Hotshot Blaster, and it's really going to depend on the deck. But yeah, a lot to experiment with. I'm really, really excited for this card. Okay, Shadow Collective Camp. So this is our final one of these rare bases, and just a reminder of what the others do. So the green one is 24 HP, and it makes 2 droid tokens when your leader deploys. The blue one is 26 HP, and it gives your leader plus 1 HP. The yellow one is 26 HP, and it gives your leader plus 1 attack. And this is 25 HP, and when you deploy your leader, draw a card. Now, I have seen people saying that this is the worst, like this is bad, and this is the worst base in the game. And I can tell those people have never played a card game before, because that absolutely reeks of, I have never played a card game before. Is this great now? No. But I feel like people don't remember the way that people used to, like, there's no, if you were to go back in time and you were to see how people were discussing this game at the start of set 1, and in particular how people were discussing card advantage, like you didn't care because you draw 2 a turn, what the fuck are you talking about? Obviously you care about card advantage. It is a card game. We always care about card advantage. There is no situation in which having more cards is a bad thing unless you're going to deck out, and that's the only situation, right? And so, yeah, maybe right now I'm not rushing to pay 5 HP to draw one card on turn 3, 4, or 5, right? Or maybe later. Maybe right now I'm not rushing to do that. But I would really caution people, right? The number one game I point to is like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like, okay, Yu-Gi-Oh, right now, if you printed a card that said, pay all your life points besides 1, draw 2, that would probably see play in every deck, right? Like, that's the level. Like, and that is because of how explosive that game is and how every single card can, like, just one card combo and get you so much, and 2 cards can be really, really meaningful there. I understand that. And I'm not saying, like, Star Wars is going to get to that level, but I am saying I think it is entirely reasonable to expect that maybe a year from now, with 6 sets in the game, we are at a point where we go, actually, drawing that extra card is going to be super valuable, right? Like, that is going to be a meaningful percentage increase in my consistency in finding something I really, really need on my deploy turn, for example, or on the turn after my deploy turn, right? Like, you might care about hitting it so much that you're willing to lose 5 HP for that 5 or 10% increase, whatever it may be, right? So, I don't know. Don't sleep on this card. I don't think it's going to see a lot of play now. I think in the future, we may be complaining about this card quite a lot because it's free draw, and never, ever, ever sleep on free draw. All right. Next, we've got Battle Droid Legions. This is a 9-cost 6/5 with Exploit 2, so you can play it for 5. And at 5, I like this card, which says, when defeated, create 3 Battle Droid tokens. So I quite like this card. If you play this out for its full exploit, it is a passable card, in my opinion. It's a 5-cost 6/5. That is going to generate you a load of units and kind of disincentivizes your opponent from interacting with it. And for what it's worth, due to that high cost, like, sometimes that can matter. Personally, I don't know that we're really going to be playing this card. Like, for 7, I'm never playing this. Like, I never want to play this for 7, right? Like, I'm got to be really desperate. And I appreciate that, like, this could, like, the thing is, it's tough because as we get more of these cards that, like, want to exploit more and more, a card like this, which I can play in the early game, that's just going to let me set up that really big exploit later for something really cheap, and that's going to massively swing the game. So I don't want to write it off, but, like, everything in my brain is going, like, do I really want to be playing this for 5? How am I engineering the situation? Well, realistically, it's going to be a flip turn, and then I'm going to go flip, create 2 droid tokens, slam this. Okay, but, like, if this gets bounced, that ain't good. So I don't know. We'll need to see. I wish I said when this leaves the field, so you're guaranteed to get it. Although I guess if they ever introduce blinking effects, sorry about that, that's my phone. If we ever get blinking effects, that might be problematic. But anyway, it's probably decent. Maybe very, very broken though. We'll see. Okay, our second leader for this week is Newt Gunray, and this one I'm really quite high on this card. So this is a blue-black action. If 2 or more friendly units were defeated this phase, create a battle droid token. So if you exploit 2 or more, essentially is how this reads, or you get super laser, or you super laser blast or something, right? Like, there's a few scenarios. Just make a 1/1. I think that's really, really good. I think that is really, really, really good. And then we look at his deploy side. So he deploys on 6. He's a 2/8, so just pretty hefty. With on attack, create a battle droid token. So this guy's going to sit here. He is so non-threatening that your opponent's going to have to sit there and go, do I really want to waste 8 damage answering this leader? The answer's no. And so every single turn you're going to go, cool, swing, make a droid. Cool, swing, make a droid. Cool, swing, make a droid. This card could be really, really strong value. I think, like, obviously, on the leader flip, like, this is super unimpactful. Like, on 6, like, really, like, what, I get a 2/8 and a droid, that's garbage, right? I understand that. Obviously, the idea here is that this is really a deck built around this front side. And for me, it's like Kylo in that sense, right? Like, yeah, okay, cool, we get to deploy Kylo early, but really we're playing Kylo for the discard and the buff. Here, I think we're really playing Gunray for the make a droid. And so let's talk about a couple of cards that got spoiled with it, so we have some more context for why we want to do that. So first here, we got Rune Harko. This card is crazy. So this is a 2-cost, blue-black, 3/2. Separatist official. So we can stop reading there. Everything else is gravy. We are playing this card at 3 in every blue-black deck. Okay, now let's keep reading. When played, if a friendly unit was defeated this phase, you may give a unit -1/-1 for this phase. So this is just very, very good, right? Like, if you've exploited, you just get to reduce the stats or something, maybe letting you trade into like a 3/4 potentially, right? If you this, you can give any unit. So if your opponent's got something in space that's a bit annoying, you've put out a 3/2, they've got out a 3/4. Well, you can play out Rune Harko, and oh, look at that, I can now trade into that. Just that sort of technical bit there. You can just delete a little droid token. You can allow your droid token to trade into a clone token. You can give a leader minus power and minus HP. That can be relevant, right? Like, this is a card that's just super versatile, and like, even if we completely ignore that when played, this is just good. It's a 3/2, right? Like, yeah, I want to play this. And then we've got the multi-troop transport. This is a 7-drop blue card, generic, right? 3/6. Exploit 2, on attack, create a battle droid token. So if I exploit 2, I'm playing this for 3. And every single turn, and I go, so a 3-cost 3/6 that says on attack, create a battle droid token is fucking broken, right? Like, that's crazy. Now again, how often are we going to be able to get the full value out of it? Now obviously with Gunray, this is crazy because we exploit 2, and we don't even need to necessarily exploit tokens, but we exploit 2 things, whatever, 2 things we've got the value out of. Play this out, Gunray, effect, get us back a droid token. Next turn, swing, we get another droid token. Now the opponent's just got a 3/6, they kind of just got to answer, because it's going to sit there and generate value for you every single turn, and just let you get these really, really valuable exploits. So I really like Gunray. I think as a leader, it's a really nice exploit enabler. I prefer Dooku, but Dooku's nuts. So like, I don't know, I think both of those are really solid, and very different style of gameplay. Like, Gunray is definitely a value engine, right? I'm going to sit here, I'm going to get value, and I'm going to keep playing my exploit cards for super cheap, and overwhelm me that way. And yeah, I really, really like it. And I think all of these cards are really, really solid. Okay, right, next we've got Nameless Valor. This is a 1-cost upgrade, which can only go on a token unit, but the attached unit gains Overwhelm and +2/+2 for 1. That's crazy. Now, how many decks are you really going to play this in? Am I ever going to put this on a droid? Probably not. Unlikely. Firstly, I've got to be like, I mean, because the idea of the droids is just to get sacked, right? Like, that's really what they're designed around. But the Clone Trooper tokens, if I pay 1 to make a Clone Trooper token a 4/4 with Overwhelm, I am going to enjoy that. So I think in a deck like Rex, which is just you're always going to have that token, and you can just go, cool, that's 4/4. That's pretty good. I think I probably would play this in something like Rex. Yeah, I like this card. I really like this card. Okay, and then we've got, now there are 2 of them. So this is another legendary, and this yellow gets the most broken shit, man. I think this is the first yellow legendary they've shown, and it's crazy. So if you control exactly 1 unit, if you've deployed your leader, play a non-vehicle unit from your hand that shares a trait with the unit you control. It costs 5 less. So the obvious synergy here at the outset is Underworld, right? And immediately I think, okay, Boba Green, I deploy Boba, I play this, I play Maul. That's pretty good, right? And obviously, if you can, the ideal way that turn goes is I deploy Boba, I suit him up with armor, I smack a unit. So assuming the opponent's got 2 units out, I smack 1, I untap 2, now there are 2 of them, I play out Maul, and I clean up the other one, and my opponent has just seen me go play a suited up Boba and a Maul, usually probably when they're on 4 resources. Fucking GG, like, that's crazy. And obviously this is going to be usable like outside of situations like that, but my god, what a powerful card. This card is crazy. This card is absolutely crazy. It's super versatile. Like, it just says play something for 2 costs less, right? Like, and in a deck like Boba Green, which increasingly recently has just been playing more and more big cards, this is nuts. But like anything where you're playing out big things, you're going to look at this and you're going to go, well, that's crazy. And there's going to be a lot of traits where this is relevant. Like, obviously, you've got Underworld. There's going to be, like, Jedi and Sith are going to be 2 very obvious ones, right? Imagine playing a Luke on your 5 resource turn. Holy shit, that's crazy, right? And you can do that in a deck like Chirrut, right? Deploy Chirrut. Oh, no, wait. Chirrut's not... Oh, actually, no, Force. I think Force will work for that. Like, stuff like that, right? Like, where you just go, cool, play this crazy big thing. And they're like, oh, my God, right? Super, super fun. Okay. This may be my favourite card in the revealed so far, though. So, Malevolence. So this is a 9-cost blue-black, 7/7. Exploit 4, restore 2. When played, give an enemy unit -4, -0 for this phase. It can't attack for this phase. This card, in response to your opponent's leader flip, is absolutely disgusting. Not only does this basically mean whatever they were relying on their leader to do that turn is not happening, you also are going to be able to clear that leader through attacks and take no damage back. Basically always, right? Like, I can't think of many leaders that are going to be able to deal much damage back to this, like, especially meta ones, right? Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Especially if your opponent's like wasted, like you can imagine this into Sabine if they go, okay, cool, play Sabine, equip Darksaber, and you go, yeah, cool, Malevolence. Your Sabine is neutered this turn, and also you don't get the attack with it. And then also, like, that's crazy. And then you get a 7/7 with Restore too. I mean, obviously, like, the scenarios in which that happens is going to be, especially into Sabine, it's probably quite rare. But this is also so versatile. Like, you can play it for 1. Realistically, if I'm playing this for 7, I'm happy. 5, I'm very happy. 3, I'm over the moon. And 1 is, like, you know, Magical Fairyland, fine. But, like, oh my god. And, like, yeah, you could play this for 0 in Dooku, like, in theory. But, like, yeah, just so good. So strong. Yeah, really, really, really high on this card. I think we're almost at the end here. Got a couple more cards. So as we've got Obedient Vanguard, this is a 1-drop 1/1 in green. That's with raid 1. And when defeated, you may give a trooper unit +2/+2 for the phase. Yeah, aggro decks. Yep, aggro. Pretty good. And then our last 2 cards. So we got Clone Cohort. This is a 2-cost upgrade from red. Attached unit gains raid 2, and when defeated, you create a clone trooper token, +0/+0. I can't imagine I would really want to play this card. Like, maybe if it's on attack, create a clone trooper token, I might be more high on this, but when defeated is not great. Or ideally when defeated and on attack, like, okay, then I'd be like, all right, let's pay attention to this, because you're not getting any immediate stat value with that upgrade. It's kind of weird to me. Like, I no health either. Like, I don't know. I don't like this card. Whereas I love this card, Droid Cohort, 1-cost yellow, attached unit gains when defeated, create a battle droid token, and it's a 1/1. +1/+1 for 1. Like, okay, that's on rate, and I get a droid token. Yes, please, right? Like, that's great. So in a deck that cares about exploiting, I get to... So it's beautiful, right? Because you get to sling this onto something, swing with it, exploit it, get your droid token. Win-win. Yeah, really, really, really nice. I don't actually know that it will see any play. I think both of these are probably, in particular, the first one. This is probably just going to end up being a draft card because, like, I don't know that you can justify putting an upgrade like this in a constructed deck with 3 sets in the game. But yeah, pretty decent card. So, overall, another fantastic week of card reveals. Hey, this one was shorter. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel for lots more Star Wars Unlimited content. Keep an eye on the Patreon for that in-depth updated meta guide going into PQ season, of course. And obviously keep an eye out for all sorts of fun stuff. Still nothing on the PQ pricing yet from FFG. I was planning on making a video on that last week when they, if they were going to post an update. They didn't last week. I imagine it will be this week. So I'm looking forward to that. And I can't wait to see you guys in that video. So hopefully see you soon. Cheers.